Let's get down to what the Spurs did so well to cause Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to shoot so poorly, which contributed greatly to the Thunder dropping the opening game of the Western Conference Finals. While it's not quite the Jordan rules, it looks like the Spurs have some guidelines that dictate how they defend SGA. The first concept is helping one pass away off the strong side corner shooter. This can be dangerous because it's an easy pass to make to the corner for an open three. But the gamble pays off as Vassell reaches in, fouls him across the wrist, but the refs don't catch it and it's a turnover instead. Lest you think Shai always embellishes contact, he was right to raise his arms up and get frustrated. Later in the fourth quarter, we see the same concept, and this time Harper is even more obvious with illegal contact on the reach, and the refs catch it, giving Gilgeous-Alexander 2 free throws. I want you to be aware of what side of the floor SGA is on. The Spurs are more worried about his pull-ups going to his left, so they're willing to help from one pass away on this side. At the end of the first, they push this strategy to its limit, bringing Keldon Johnson to the top of the circle off his man who was in the right corner, which opened up a nice skip pass and wide open three. Notice how Wemby attempts the cornet contest, trying to disrupt the visual field by putting his hands up and jumping in the air on the release. This may or may not have an actual effect on the shooter, as he attempted this no less than 8 times, with the Thunder hitting 4 of them. So, for this game at least, trying to stop the three-pointer this way was not effective. On top of that, the Spurs are making a calculation based on how the Thunder shot corner threes during the regular season, when they ranked a very average 16th in percentage from those 2 spots. But so far in the playoffs, they've been scorching from there, so something had to give. And in Game 1, OKC nailed 8 out of 17 corner threes. So, either expect an adjustment by Spurs coach Mitch Johnson, or they can double down with the expectation that this team will regress to the mean. But make no mistake, the best way to combat this type of defense is to make the easy pass accurately and let them fly. And that brings us to the other concept the Spurs were employing, the Wemby zone. The Thunder yanked Isaiah Hartenstein very early when they realized Wemby was going to ignore him and sink deep into the paint to form an Eiffel Tower in front of the rim. But by going small, it enabled the Spurs to allow him to switch onto anyone who was in the corner, preferably opposite the side SGA was on. Not only are they willing to help off the strong side corner, but they know they have Wemby lurking on the weak side, which simultaneously dissuades his patented midi pull-up and drive to the rim. It's no wonder he struggled as the shot clock became an extra defender, forcing him to burp up a tough shot. Here's Wemby guarding Caruso, which didn't work well early on, as he burned them for a wide open three-pointer and a blow-by at the rim against the Frenchman's closeout. But on this possession, it allowed Wemby to find his spot on the weak side block, then come over to put a hand up. However, this is a shot SGA makes in his sleep, so the Spurs should feel fortunate he missed the 10-footer. I think SGA needs to find the pull-up earlier in all of this space before Wemby gets close enough to make him think about it. It was unclear why SGA was off rhythm throughout a lot of the game. It could have been the long layoff in between series, since they give him the whole left side to work with, no help off the corner, but even though this is his patented midi pull, Stephon Castle is a great defender and helped him miss with the contest. Also notice that he didn't try to get into Castle's body and quick pull up into a foul, something SGA had been doing quite a lot of the past 2 years, but has just about quit cold turkey. You simply won't see this kind of quick pull into a foul that enraged non-OKC fans to no end, as if he heard the criticism and adjusted his game. I went through the last 20 games of the season, and he didn't do it once over the course of around 200 drives. I also just watched his last 100 drives in the playoffs, and I found only one example where he tried to draw a foul this way and didn't even get it. And guess what? His numbers were virtually the same even without drawing shooting fouls like he once did. The bottom line, SGA is one of the best scorers of all time and can hand you 30 points with 12 free throws or with 2. Which is why I tend to pick the over with his points when playing PrizePicks. They're now a preferred partner of the NBA. Not only can you win cash by picking higher or lower on a variety of box score categories, now that the playoffs are heating up, they've got a Do It Live 2026 NBA Finals sweepstakes. Pick live squares during the NBA playoffs and you can win a trip for 2 to the NBA Finals. To enter, you just make a $5 lineup with at least one live NBA player pick during any part of the 2026 NBA playoffs. Live player picks are picks made after a game is already in progress. My favorite thing to do is flex play, where I don't even have to nail all my picks to win. These are my 3 picks for tonight's games, and if I make it a flex play, I don't even have to nail all of them to win money. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, a preferred partner of the NBA. While this was a close game, Mitch Johnson outcoached Mark Daigneault on the night. The Spurs seemed more concerned with drives to the hoop on the right side of the floor and the pull-up jumper when he drove to his left. So that's why we saw so much help off the corner on the left side and why they tried to keep Wemby on the right block where he'd be waiting for SGA to drive too close. While Wallace didn't take the bait by shooting the open 3, he is certainly not going to get into the lane and try and release a shot with Wemby around. And the Thunder's offense has zero continuity. All they had to fall back on is a Shea isolation, and once the shot clock got under 5, they'll rush a double team at him automatically and rotate, quick enough to improbably block the Chet 3-point attempt. While I did say Johnson outcoached Daigneault overall, and the proof is in the outcome, OKC fans can take some solace in the fact that down the stretch of the fourth quarter, they finally solved this defense, scoring on every single half-court possession they had to close regulation and earn them a spot in the overtime. That's a whopping 19 points in a little over 5 minutes by exploiting the very defense that stifled SGA for the first 43 minutes, enabling them to just about steal the game on their home court. This culminated in what was supposed to be the final possession of the game as they run a double Iverson cut to clear out the entire left side of the floor. No strong side corner helped to stop SGA from getting to the rim, and here was a moment that confused me. I suppose Wemby doesn't want to give up a 3 to lose the game, so he doesn't rotate over to protect the rim as SGA lays it in. But it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Wemby should have rotated over, and Vassell was there to rotate down to the corner, and the clock would have expired had Chet made one more pass. However, probably due to fatigue, they lost the script in the first overtime, forgetting how ruthless they had been down the stretch in regulation, and could not exploit the defensive alignment enough to win the game. Although it also took this absolute all-timer from Wemby from 10 feet behind the line to keep the Spurs even. Watching this live was incredible, and you better not miss any of these games going forward. And in the second OT, Johnson regains the coaching upper hand by unleashing some early double teams. Normally, this goes very poorly for the defense. Just ask the Lakers when they kept doing it in the previous round. But everyone was approaching 50 minutes of playing time, and you could just tell they didn't have enough energy and focus left to execute properly. A measure of success for SGA isn't necessarily with his total points scored. He generates buckets by his mere presence on the court and how that bends the defense all out of shape. The true measure of success is shot quality, and OKC had plenty of it last night. For one game, it worked well enough for the Spurs to pull out a victory, but I wonder how successful it will be now that OKC is at a game to figure some things out. Either way, I can practically guarantee this series will go 7, and it will treat us to some of the most epic basketball we've ever seen in the playoffs.